Okay, we're back for another episode of In Front of the Scenes. I'm Kevin Bottero from Points Cobra, and this is where I come out from behind the scenes to chat with clients about what they have going on. And I'm excited because tonight, for the very first time, we have a full band. Octavian Winters is here, which is very cool. Darkwave act out of San Francisco. So we have everybody. We have vocalist, keyboardist Ria Aursjoen. Did I get that right? Ria Aursjoen,
You did.
approximately?
Pretty close.
Okay. Sweet. We've got Stephan Salit. We've got Denton, guitar, bass, respectively, and Randy Gzebb on drums. So thank you guys for being a part of this. So you just released the liner Curve, your debut EP, in October. And as for being a band, it's been a couple of years now. And I love in the bio part you talk about being born into the ghostly isolation of San Francisco. So my question there to start is, was that because of when you formed just a pandemic nod, or does it have to do with the city too? Because like when you think of San Francisco, you think of the fog, you think of the beauty and the character, and kind of where it is geographically in a bit of a slightly tucked away transition point in California from the southern desert to the more mountainous lush north. Like does sonically San Francisco play a role for you guys, or you just live there?
I would have to say that San Francisco's had a very interesting history. What we do, I think, is more. I don't know. What would you say? It's more. I think it's more along the lines of more international sound than what is been historically a San Francisco sound. um, a lot of what we do is an amalgamation of everything that we love, of course. And there is a scene here now that's been over the past 10 years that's been slowly brewing. That's a little more dark wave, and it's interesting how it's gone through phases. And I think we happened at the pin when with the last few years and just where we've been sequestered. That's where we come from. It was the perfect time and the perfect melting pot of just being able to brew things that that is Octavian Winters at this point. I mean, the name kind of says it all.
Yeah. So would you credit then us all having to be and isolated away because of the pandemic when it first hit into the sound, where it just like you had nothing to do but kind of sit and be creative, and then just the fusion of genres, maybe even more so than just your influences, just kind of concocted from that?
I mean, yeah, I think you're right about all those kind of points, and they all contribute to it, you know? So we came out of kind of lockdown. There wasn't really a lot going on. A lot of bands like decided to kind of take a break or just quit outright. So yeah, it was kind of like a chance to get back into it, and probably it was like some of our first exposures to hanging out with other folks in a while,
Yeah.
So it was a kind of a fun thing to get together and play music, especially coming from a position of not being able to really be too social and go to shows, and not a lot of new stuff was happening. So yeah, I think you're right about some of that.
Yeah, there was nothing going on here. It was completely shut down.
Mhm.
No one on the streets. It's like a ghost town. So, into the pandemic, I'd say 7 months into it, Stephan and I started playing around with some ideas and recorded the ideas, and then we invited over Ria and Jay, and then we just all kind of slowly, built on those ideas, and it happened pretty easily, I guess, right? It was just us kind of jamming, and all these songs just started pouring out, and it was a great time because we were actually getting together, but not really seeing other people than our families, because there was no going out to clubs, there was no restaurants, there was nothing. So it was a special time. We made the best of it for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And the start of Octavian Winters kind of came when Stephan and Randy, you guys were getting together to talk about a previous band and a publishing deal you had offered. So you kind of were bantering about that, and then all of a sudden, whoop, here's a different band.
Well, we'd been talking for quite a long time about doing something together again, and we had the band that you're referencing there had done some reunion shows, and that came to fruition. And then we decided, well, what do we do next? And yeah, it took a little while, but we finally got into a room together, and I mean, the amount of stuff that ideas and sketches that we have, we've got a lot going. That this record has just been kind of like, well, we just grabbed off the cream of the, off the top of things, but we were, talking about doing this for quite some time, and I think it was just a lot of pent up creativity, for sure. For me, it was anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, we're in a room full of people that know kind of what they're doing, so songwriting kind of comes together pretty easy, pretty quick.
Good. Okay. Perfect. Speaking of the room, I love the purple lighting you guys have in your studio. That's
Well,
that's,
thank you.
that's
Yeah, I just put that up.
Oh, that was you, Randy. Good stuff. No, I like it. It's very moody. It's Ria, I think do you have some purple in your hair, or is that just the lighting?
I do. Did you match the light to my
I did. I
Oh.
went shopping and made sure that it was.
See? That's beautifully done. Very, very. This is the most aesthetically pleasing episode in front of the scenes thus far. So that's very appreciated for sure.
All right, we passed that.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. No, you got me beat by a mile there. So speaking of the line of curve, your debut EP, it was produced by William Faith, who's been in bands like the Bellwether Syndicate and stuff, based in Chicago. So how did you guys hook up with him, and how was working with him?
Who wants to go?
No, take your time. It's all good.
Well, there's a big history there. It's kind of it's weird. It's like I had a friend who used to play with some bands, and then William ended up playing with the same bands, and we all kind of came together at a show. God, how many years ago? 8 years, 7 or 8 years ago, and got to know William and his wife Sarah, and then just stayed in touch with William. And when it came about time for this, it was just like kind of a out of left field. I just said, I just like decided I'd been staying in touch with him a little bit, but and I knew he was doing production work. And when it came time, we did all the recordings ourselves, but it needed that little extra, And William was like, yeah. He heard what we were doing, and he was like, he's become like a fifth member. So I'm very, 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 very honored and proud to have him behind us as much as he is. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like we just sent him the tracks, and we just let him have at it. And that's as soon as we heard his first mix, it was like, okay, this is it. It was like, there wasn't a lot of interaction or back and forth, which usually that can happen at times, but he just kind of instinctively knew what to do, and whatever he did kind of took it up to the next level. And it happened with all the songs like that, pretty much, right? It wasn't,
yeah.
There wasn't like,
knows.
hey, try this or try that. He just kind of took them and ran with them, and what he produced and what he came out with was like, wow.
Yeah, really like giving us a big sonic palette, and he was able to do the things that we weren't able to achieve at home with just our recording on our phones and stuff.
Yeah. He definitely, he's like, he knows exactly where we're coming from. But at the time when me and Randy were doing what we were doing in San Francisco, he was in LA with Christian Death and Mephisto Waltz, and and so they all kind of there's a little bit of a difference between the LA sound and the San Francisco sound during the 80s or whenever, later on. But it definitely is in the same wheelhouse, and he knows exactly where we're coming from. So
excellent. Well, it seems like geographically you're fairly covered. If you've got the San Francisco sound, you've got a bit of the Los Angeles sound, you've got the Chicago vibe over with Wills. You're hitting all the majors with that, so that's very cool. So that sounds very seamless, and he was evidently the perfect person to produce the record. Now, would you say that like he is hands off in terms of like, you know, some producers are very, very like, I don't want to say micromanagey, but like the songs will turn out so different with their touch, or you guys just you were so seamless as a musical partnership that for William it was just, yeah, these songs are awesome. We're gonna fine tune them. That's that. So you think it was just kind of that easy?
Yeah, it's
Yep.
interesting that you bring that up because I think you're right. A lot of producers will try and be micromanagey and put their sort of unique stamp on something.
Yeah.
And while I do think that William's stamp is on there too, um, there was never any sort of struggle that way. So sure, I'd say he's hands off, but it was a very symbiotic kind of interaction the whole time. So whereas ideas flow back and forth, well, what do you think of this? And we'll try this. That happened a bit, but in other cases with producers, it might be less of a, hey, how about this, versus a, I'm going to do this. This is the way it's going to go. There was never any of that. And I want to say, I think it also makes a difference, a huge difference, when you're working with a producer that really likes what you're doing, appreciates what you're doing. You can tell the difference versus somebody that is there. They kind of know what they're doing and they know how to work all the equipment and get the sound, but maybe they're not totally into what you're doing with. It makes a big difference.
Totally. Yeah. I've worked with some
Yeah.
producers. It's just night and day, nightmares. And, tried to change it. I've got some bad memories. I tell the story of this other band I was in, and this producer came. I dropped into the studio, and he was making this woman sing every word one at a time.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've had that experience as well. It's horrifying.
yeah, that seems. I mean, if you're editing clean enough, you can pull it off. But just to do it, that doesn't seem good at all. It's just not even
No, it was
remotely
crazy.
natural.
And,
That
that's
is
just my
crazy.
bad experience. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it all came out really good, and he had a couple of ideas that and again, it's like when you work with somebody that you know and you trust, it's like their ideas are usually pretty cool. So I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, in fact, we came in and we said, listen, we love what you're doing with our stuff. Go ahead and give us any kind of ideas as far as arrangements and stuff if you want, as a producer normally does and tears things apart.
Mm.
And he said, no, this is pretty much the way it's.
what we turned
recorded.
in
Yeah.
was good.
Yeah.
It was already, there wasn't a lot of changes to be made. He was happy with it, so he just ran
Yep.
with it, mixed it, and
Good.
we'd send a couple things back and forth on file pass, and we'd listen. And if there was hardly any tweaks that needed to be done. There was just a couple little things here and there of the whole EP. So it was just, it was a great experience.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's funny that you guys mentioned too, like producers who might not know the music or be as into it or just more technical, because to me, and I know, like, I mean, we've all gonna make a living, so I get that part of it, but like, why would you even forget about the band hooking up with the producer? As the producer, why would you want to work with an artist that like you're not into? Because like you're not going to be as invested. You might just not know the genre as well, so you're kind of pulling from your know-how but not applying it to there as much. So that that would, yeah, I don't, I think that's kind of something that is probably fairly doomed from the start, like Randy, you were saying about that one experience. So to have obviously William Faith and you guys be so tight, that's
some variables. You try to, you usually, depends who you're working with and what the budget is. So
Right.
what they say is, who would you like to produce? And you name off some names, and they reach out to those guys. And if depending on their schedule, um, so it's things that got to line up right. And sometimes, there's money involved or good money involved. A guy that maybe is not your first choice, maybe not your second choice, third choice, says, I'm available. And you end up, do you want to use this guy or not? The other guys aren't available. So you take this guy, and that's kind of how it works from my
Of course.
experience.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean even if someone's your third or fourth choice, they could still be a great choice. It's just there are just a plethora of great choices, and you're just going down the list of them. So it can still work out pretty well regardless. You're right. You're right. So live, you guys have played a couple of shows this year. Finally, how's it been? How has the live response been for you guys so far?
It's been pretty great.
It's been awesome. Yeah.
And awesome. So now, I know you had a Halloween show at Bottom of the Hill there in San Francisco, a venue I've been to on the outside. It was 7 a.m. I didn't go in, but there and a couple of others. And those were your, I don't want to say that. Was that your debut show, the Halloween one, or had you played before?
Yeah. No,
that was the debut. Geez. On Halloween, too. Did you dress up? Were you guys all in costumes for the show? Was anyone at the show in costume?
Like this.
This is it.
Oh, you dressed
Happy
up as a
Hall-
darkwave band. I got you. Very cool. Nice. Well, that's good. And yeah, so like people are digging it in general. It's got to be fun because I would imagine like the last time maybe any of the four of you played live was pre-pandemic. Like, is that true? Like, had it been like 3-4 years since you were on stage?
Yeah, it had been a couple of years. And Randy and I actually we were playing in another group right before it all went down, and we had just done a show for the holidays for like Christmas in December. And then by March, I think we were like, hey, it's time to move our stuff out of the studio. Nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, it shut
for a
down
while.
pretty quickly.
So, that's kind of how me and Randy got to know each other and play before. But yeah, I mean, it was a good, I don't know, it felt like forever, that
Several years.
that we weren't able to play or, nothing was going on. So
Yeah,
It was a good show. Every show has been really good, and then the response has been excellent. What we do is kind of a little different than some other bands in the genre, and I think that's really worked. I don't know. The response has been great.
Good.
We
That's
played
good.
some real fun shows. We went up to Sacramento, and we didn't really know what it was going to be like, but we were really surprised. A lot of people came out and they were into it. So we'll probably do some more stuff like that.
It's been interesting for me translating the record to live, because normally the way that you would write as a band, at least the way I've written as a band before, is to write live in a studio situation where you're playing at volume. And we didn't really do it that way, like writing towards the live song. We did it writing towards the recorded song because of the situation of being in the pandemic and just the way that we were playing at the time, through headphones and into this little mixer thing. So when it came time to do the live show, the way that I would have constructed my parts vocally was quite different than if I had written them maybe playing at volume. So I had to kind of, it was really interesting and fun for me actually to have to translate that. I had to learn how to sing those, what voice style I was going to use to make those punch through live. There's a lot of softness to the record that is a little different when you listen to it live, I'll say.
Interesting. So now obviously the debut EP just came out 2 months ago, but would you guys say then for your second release, whenever that is, the songwriting is going to be just a 180 because you'll be together and have that live songwriting vibe?
Well, we were writing together in the same room. We were all in the same room, but we were playing, through headphones. And that is something where it's going to be interesting to kind of see, like, because now we have a rehearsal space and we're kind of playing at a kind of more of like a stage volume or something like that. And now we're starting to write new material, and I think it's going to be a little bit different because, I don't know if it's going to be sonically a little bit more washy or, but just the fact of that difference of playing through speakers and being in a loud room, and like you're saying, having to sing differently.
Mm-hmm.
You're not doing as much keyboards these days and stuff, so I think it's going to be different, but we'll have to also kind of see what it's like. And again, I mean, it's been kind of a gradual change as it is anyway. If you go from the first song, all the way through to Nebula, I mean, that Nebula is completely different, like song format and vibe and everything to some of the other tunes on there.
But I do think that some things will stay the same as well.
Yeah,
fair
most
enough.
things will
Some will
probably
change, some
stay
will
the
stay the
same.
same.
They're no change.
Yeah, I mean the creation of the stuff definitely is more fluid. I don't know. I don't know if it's that much different. Really, I'm not finding it that much different at this point. I think that it's down to the way we work with each other. A lot of the ways. I mean, a lot
And
of
that
it.
doesn't, yeah, that part hasn't really changed, which
No.
is good.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool. Okay,
yeah.
fair.
I'm looking
fair.
forward to the new stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so looking ahead to 2024, being that we're in December 2023 now, I'm going to assume some more live shows and perhaps even some more written music. What do you guys have planned for the new year concretely so far?
Well, we have one more show this year with
Where-
Bottom of the Hill.
Yep,
What is it, the 22nd?
Yes,
it is. Yep, Friday, December 22nd. Yep.
So that's going to be fun. And then we're playing in February.
Mm-hmm. And we keep getting offers to play shows and stuff, but I think it's just going to be a lot more of the same because we're really still young at this. I mean, as far as the public is concerned.
Mhm.
So yeah, I see recording and playing a lot in our future.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so you've got the Bottom of the Hill show in San Francisco coming up on December 22nd, and then the other show mentioned, that's February 9th in Albany, California. That's East Bay, right? Albany, am I right?
Just north of
No,
Berkeley, yeah.
Look at me. Excellent. Okay, so that's coming up, and that's it to this point. But perhaps new music, very very good stuff. So yeah, I mean that's cool. I mean, you guys obviously are obviously a group who have had the prior relationship before actually forming the band, so that just makes things even better because you know each other, you like each other, and then it just morphs organically into what it is as the quartet that you guys are today. They've got the Liner Curve, which is out now. It's an EP, of course. Get it on Bandcamp and wherever else. The website is octavianwinters.com. If you are in the San Francisco Bay Area, again, Friday, December 22nd, if you watch this in time, at Bottom of the Hill, in the next February, they are on Albany at the Ivy Room. Guys, it's been fun. A lot of fun. Randy, Ria, Jay, and Stephan, it's been nice to have you guys again. Thank you for being the first full band to do it. It's usually just one, so it's nice to be able to talk to a few people at once and get to kind of know everyone, especially in your beautiful purple-hued studio. That's awesome.
Thanks,
I win
Randy.
prize. Yeah, well, it was great speaking with you, Calvin.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, no, for sure. Have a wonderful holiday season, and we will be talking.